Hello again. Now, former President Jacob Zuma will find an issue with another prosecutor if Advocate Billy Downer is removed from his corruption case. This is the view of Advocate Geoff Budlender. Zuma is bringing yet another application to have State Prosecutor Billy Downer removed from the case. Zuma accuses Downer of leaking his confidential medical records to the media. But recently, he lost an appeal for a private prosecution against Downer and journalist Karen Mon. My colleague, senior reporter Siphamandla Goge, was in court earlier in Pietermaritzburg, in Msunduzi municipality. He's joining us now just to tell us exactly what happened, taking us through some of the highlights. Siphamandla, good afternoon. So what happened in Ngome in court? What are some of the highlights that you can share with us this hour?
Well, it was a session of arguments as to be expected. At times they got heated. There were heated exchanges between Advocate Dalimpo, representing former President Jacob Zuma, and the state that is basically represented, or rather the prosecutions represented by Billy Downer. But today Billy Downer was not arguing because he's conflicted, quote unquote. So that's why the prosecutions decided to bring Budlender to argue on behalf of Advocate Billy Downer, basically dismissing all the allegations and points of arguments that have been made by the former president. Let's take a listen to that heated exchange inside court between Advocate Dalimpo as well as the prosecutions.
I have to respond to the suggestion that this is a racial issue. Mr. Zuma himself has been excused from appearance many times in this case, I'm instructed, and he wasn't required to be here today either. And the French, the French aren't here at all. Well, they're not required to be here. They choose to be here. And what do they call talias? So this, to try to racialize the issue with respect is unhelpful.
Right. Where do you go from here, Mr. Mpofu?
My Lord, I have a proposal. My Lord, I want to respond to the last remarks. Your Lordship, I think, understood what I was saying, that I'm asking a rhetorical question. Why is it that Mr. Zuma must be expected to come here day in, day out? He also has to travel from his home.
Yes.
He is. He's always required to be here.
You're excused today. Mr. Zuma is excused?
No, I'm not talking about today. I'm talking about the so-called 20 years.
I'm still presiding.
I'm sorry, my Lord.
I'm still presiding.
I'm sorry, my Lord.
Yeah.
I should not have responded to those unsavory remarks.
Yeah, a moment there in court, as you said, among several others where there was heated exchanges. But what did they say about Zuma's rights in this matter?
Well, that's the whole point of this application by the former president himself, his legal team arguing that his rights are being violated by these unreasonable delays in this matter. They are saying the state is responsible. So we have seen what is known as the Stalingrad approach here that is being thrown around both parties, that is the defense as well as the state. They are finger pointing. They are doing that exercise of finger pointing. They are alleging that one party is responsible for the delays here. The state is saying it's Mr. Zuma who's responsible for these delays in this matter because he appeals each and every decision that goes against him. Mr. Zuma says, hang on, legal recourse allows me to do so. I've got my constitutional right. This is provided for in the law. I have a right to appeal if I'm unhappy. How can you basically construct that to mean that I'm unfairly delaying this matter? I want this matter to get underway, but let me exhaust all my rights too. And Advocate Dalimpo arguing today, basically summarizing the gist of their argument in 4 points, but mainly 2 of those stood out for me, where he said the issue of integrity of Billy Downer is questionable because he alleges that Billy Downer has been colluding with some journalists in leaking the former president's sensitive medical records. And the state has defended that, saying, well, hang on, that allegation that you made was dismissed by a court of law before. That was a public record that we are talking about. It was filed in court. Advocate Mpofu arguing that, well, that was leaked to a journalist before it was placed on court records. So in court today, we heard Advocate Dalimpo arguing, attacking the conduct of Advocate Billy Downer in saying he's not fit and proper to prosecute the former president because he's got a vendetta to grind against him, that he wants to see him convicted all costs, arguing that in the past, Billy Downer has shown some emotional attachment to this case when it was withdrawn by Mokodedi Mishe before, according to Dalimpofu, Advocate Billy Downer was in tears as to why the matter was withdrawn. But he says the former president's constitutional rights are being violated. Let's take a listen to Mr. Mpofu.
That duty to respect the human dignity and human rights of Mr. Zuma in particular was breached in respect of the conduct that we're going to talk about. Then, my Lord, it says later, the NPA is committed to the highest ethical standards. This commitment guides every decision we make. In other words, when we wrote them a letter and we say to them, please remove this prosecutor because of this and that and the other, that decision itself should have been informed by the highest ethical standards. And we will persuade your Lordship with respect that the decision that was taken was not informed by the highest ethical standards.
Advocate Dalimpofu there arguing for the former president. What about the state's case? What are they arguing this time around?
A hopeless case, a waste of time, Stalingrad festivals. That's what they are arguing. According to them, there is no need for these proceedings to be underway in court today because they are arguing that this matter is done and dusted. Former President Jacob Zuma came to the very same court in Pietermaritzburg. His application to have Billy Downer removed was dismissed, and the former president is saying, I have a right to exercise my legal rights. So the state is saying this will cause further delays in terms of resuming with the criminal trial that is technically underway because the former president has pleaded not guilty to all the charges that he's facing. The state is saying there are no prospects of success here, according to the state, and that is Advocate Budlender. This is just a waste of time, and he quotes the theory known as the Stalingrad, whereby the state alleges that the former president is trying to evade his day in court and he's trying to avoid having this trial resuming and concluded in a manner that will see all parties happy. Let's take a listen to Advocate Budlender.
Therefore, seek an order that Mr. Downer be removed and or recused from conducting my prosecution because he lacks the attributes of impartiality and independence which are necessary for the protection of my fair trial right. He must accordingly be removed as my prosecutor, and the NPA director to assign a new prosecutor who is untainted by the criminal violations set out in this affidavit. It is, in my opinion, also very doubtful whether the current members of the prosecution team who have been inextricably involved in the current legal prosecution would qualify. But that's not an issue which requires the adjudication of this court at the present moment. So we know what's coming. We know what's coming next. If Mr. Downer is removed and is next in charge, the next in line is substituted, there'll be another application to remove that person. And it'll come before your Lordship, and your Lordship will tell that that person too is complicit in these dastardly deeds which Mr. Downer allegedly committed. He's also a criminal, he's also an unethical person, and he must be removed as the prosecutor. So the attack is, he's given notice in that paragraph that if he gets rid of Mr. Downer, he's going to set his sights on the next one in line, and then the next one in line. It's an opportunity for a Stalingrad festival, my lord. It will be a festival of Stalingrad delay.
A festival of Stalingrad delays, according to Advocate Geoff Budlender, part of his argument representing the prosecuting the state. So what's next, Ncome, in this matter now?
Judgment is reserved. We can only hope that Judge Kosinati Chile will take his time because he needs to go through all the arguments and submissions that have been made. He needs to basically reflect and draft his judgment, and after that, hand down the judgment. He will, of course, inform all other parties that are involved in this matter as to when he plans to do that, but it will be a number of weeks, a couple of weeks, or even more. Some people are even anticipating that we could have this judgment handed down within 3 months, because that's the prescribed time that ideally judges are encouraged to say at least within or just by 3 months' time you must have handed down your judgment. So there is that consideration to say no matter what happens, at least within 3 months, that judgment must be handed down. But remember, on the 1st of November, the former president is due back in this court again, whereby he will be continuing with his matter of privately prosecuting the state lead prosecutor, Advocate Billy Downer, and journalist Karen Mon. So we will have those back-to-back court proceedings involving the former president and Mr. Downer.
Thank you very much. Siphamandla Goge there outside the High Court in Pietermaritzburg, Msunduzi Municipality.